please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's log, subdates 230210.6. The meeting has been postponed until Monday, with intelligence telling me that the Forks intend to make a move on the Arcadia. As I've got the Makos ready to smelt the Forks strike team, I don't see this ending well for them. Hello everyone, welcome to the exhibition of stupid people. Today we're going to start with a landlord. In the United Kingdom, landlords get a fair amount of wiggle room when it comes to regulation and rent capping. Basically, they can just absolutely, in many areas of the country, take full advantage of you, the peasant that wants somewhere to live. Many councils push you to go private, not realizing by doing so you're making the situation worse for the potential tenant. They also, private tenants especially, have rules when it comes to pets, many saying no because they don't want to damage the property. The reason why is because then they, the landlord, don't then have to spend extra money repairing the property from the damage your pet has done. Something which I can understand. I really can. Back when I lived off campus, I had 2 rats. They lived in a chinchilla cage with multiple levels. The landlord did not mind it because they existed within that. And if they were ever out of their cage, they were on my lap. They were chilling out. There were no other pets in the house. JD and Turk were the goodest of boys. So when it comes to pets in properties, landlords have strict rules. Some may not let you have a pet, others may charge you an extra fee due to the risk of damage it can cause. This is usually for a dog or a cat because they molt or they claw furniture. One woman though, via TikTok called Nick, uploaded a video of her reaction to her monthly rent statement. On it, with a screenshot, she exclaimed, "They're now charging pet rent for fishes." In the screenshot, it says $200 one-time fee for having a fish, although no aggressive breeds are allowed. In addition, there's an added $15 monthly pet rent free. Now I assume that means fee. Understandably, many take the stance that this is a bit on the crazy side. Some saying these apartments are out of control with their damn fees. Others, you gotta pay rent for a fish now? The other, I have many questions. I kind of agree with this, because I'd start with, I didn't realize you'd need permission to have a fish. It's not like someone's packing a ginormous aquarium into their apartment. But the other question I have to ask is, no aggressive breeds. What breeds are we having here? Where are you in the world that you have aggressive fish? Is this the part where I insert the obligatory, piranha? Or are we saying now that goldfish are the true kings of the ocean? Or perhaps, are we going down the route of identifying a goldfish as an almighty shark with biggest of chomp? As many of you will undoubtedly know, Prince Harry's autobiography Spare was released recently because he's the spare child. But mercifully, we have been spared, see what I did there? The opportunity and chance that he could in fact become an heir to the throne. Because we have William and we have George. Thank feck for that. If Harry assumed or succeeded, ascended to the throne, no doubt Emo would make a comeback on the coattails of this silly little bitch. With his book coming out though, many haven't been best impressed with a number of things within it. One of which involves a woman called Sasha Walpole, because she is the woman in the book, but also in Harry's life, a little bit older than Harry, who took his virginity, which in turn became headline news because he went into detail about it. She, Sasha, knew nothing about this revelation until a friend of hers reached out to her via WhatsApp to tell her that Harry had decided, yeah, I'm going to share this story without speaking to me first. Initially, Sasha was afraid because there were enough clues in the book for people to identify her and that she would be outed around the world because there are many pictures of Harry when he's much younger with Sasha, many of them in fact. She herself kept this secret for 21 years. Doing so, and I'll quote her, "I did it because Harry was a friend regardless of whether he's a prince or not. I didn't invite any of his attention, but I know the hunt would have kept going until people found me. I don't understand why he went into such detail. He could have said he lost his virginity and left it at that. but he described how it happened in a field behind a pub. If you're into UK politics, insert obligatory Theresa May running through the fields now. No doubt she would have spotted it a mile off, the ginger guy burning with the blonde. She continued by saying that's fine if you're not the other person involved, but if you're me, then you suddenly feel as if your world is getting a little bit smaller. She felt that the prince, who has made his right to privacy a crusade in his new post-royal life in California, had intruded on hers. And that's another point. For somebody promoting a certain life, a certain way of life as well, he has in turn sabotaged another person's freedom. And he did not, when he should have, consulted the person he did it with, putting details out there that he really shouldn't have put out there without explicitly getting permission first. It is a bit rude. Now, prior to Meghan, we all knew Harry had a type. His type, very powerful, overbearing blondes. Always the same type, with anger management issues, much like himself. Part of me had always thought perhaps he needed someone like that to mother him. It's a shame though someone couldn't do that now to stop him from writing about something that in turn put someone under the spotlight lens that did not want the attention. I earlier called it a dick move. It was a dick move, in out, and then he decided he would point it in the direction of the person he put it in and out of. Over the many months that we have been talking about this particular subject we're now moving on to, UK athletics has been covered on multiple occasions on this channel and on the Omegon 2 channel, because UK athletics has been in a bit of a turmoil. It in turn has led to gender-critical feminist turf being thrown around as thought-terminating cliche-riddled buzzwords, because many have taken a very firm stance when it comes to certain disparities. Those disparities usually centering around biological sex, advantages you get from being one over the other, and gender. Not the same thing, not even close to being the same thing. There is criteria in place that makes it so that if you identify as a different gender, you have to adhere to certain rules before you are granted passage into those competitions. UK athletics, though, want to change the legislation to ensure that the women's category is lawfully reserved for competitors who are recorded female at birth. The governing body has said that all transgender athletes should be allowed to compete with men in an open category. Now, there's an issue here. It's an obvious one. We'll get to it in a moment. The chair, Ian Beattie, said the governing body wanted athletics to be a welcoming environment for all, but added it had a responsibility to ensure fairness in women's competition. The problem you have now is you've not made it fair in what is called the open category, which is typically what the men's is. I've held a pretty firm position that you need a third category for those who are male to female transgender athletes. I would say also male to female, but there are at present significantly less than there are male to female. And I say this also because if you put those who are transgender in with the men, no offense to them, they're going to be annihilated. I also think that it's not fair for men to have a category that's only called open when they and the women deserve to have their own categories. That's not to say those that are trans are not male or female. That becomes a semantics argument that has no place in the conversation of athletics. It's why I also believe a third category would be beneficial. For inclusion's sake, it's not about simply saying you have a right to compete with these people. It's about making sure the playing field is well and truly equal across the board. How do we ensure it? We make another category. Ian Beattie also said, "We would appeal to all those engaged in this discussion online to share their thoughts in a way that is respectful to the differing opinions and sensitive nature of the debate. UKA disagrees with the use of testosterone suppression for transgender women, as there is currently no scientifically robust independent research showing that all male performance advantage is eliminated," adding that it has seen no evidence that it is safe for transgender women to reduce their hormonal levels by testosterone suppression, and that there is insufficient research to understand the effects on transgender women if such testosterone suppression is carried out suddenly. Therefore, it would instead like to reserve the female category for those who are recorded female at birth and have not undergone transition. They also do not believe the sporting exemption introduced in the Equalities Act of 2010 allows them to lawfully exclude transgender women in possession of a gender recognition certificate from competing, something which undoubtedly would be a lot more complicated in countries like Scotland that are very much desperate to introduce a gender recognition act that makes it very easy to snap a finger like Thanos and get what you want, or identify as whatever you want. I wonder how Nicola Sturgeon's handling that all up north right now. I hear it's getting quite messy and heated, when it comes to prisoners especially. Oh, and since I've mentioned the SNP, in the House of Commons United Kingdom's Parliament, the SNP leader is completely in contrast with that of SNP in Scotland, whereas Stephen Flynn, who is quite young, has said that opposition to gender recognition reform should be respected, whereas members within his own party have said, nah, rebels should resign, but in their Scottish accent, I can't do it. I'm not Ramsay Nesbitt. Next, we're going to the Royal Agricultural University in Cirencester, in Gloucestershire. Gloucester, that one. Yeah, it's somewhere in the, west of the United Kingdom. That's as good as my geography here gets. Again, I know where things are, I just don't know where anything is. The reason we're going there, though, is because some students at that particular university, which is dubbed Oxbridge for Farmers, strapped a dead fox to the roof of a car during a charity rally. This student union stunt sparked amusement among onlookers, with two apparently laughing as the car passed by them. This all seems somewhat counter to the university's own motto, which is caring for the fields and the beasts. This crass stunt comes across as that of somebody who breaches their own ethos and therefore has no actual standards. The RAU is considered to be full of entitled old fogies who are resistant to any sort of change, most of them being so rich that they think they can get away with anything. The university itself has apparently condemned the students' behaviour and contacted the local constabulary for help with identifying the perpetrators. I'm not entirely sure though if any crime has actually been committed. This just feels like a degree of separation from fox hunting. My view on it is a form of desecration of a dead body, and I think the sentence is the electric chair, of course. There's a link to an article in the pinned comment. In that is a picture of that fox, unalive and tied to the roof of a car. I can't show it in this bit. I can't do that. So we're going to move on to somebody else who's a moron. A TikTok user called QRillo. When I accidentally put a $100 note in my pocket at work. Now this is very much an F around find out moment type of situation, because the user got busted. Go figure, sharing that to TikTok invariably went to somebody higher up who went, you work for us? Well then, going so far as to terminate her contract at Red Rooster, along with, contacting the police to investigate this theft. The funny thing really is if you Google search for the user, the first video that pops up is in fact the video in question, but it's been removed by her. I wonder why. The final subject of the day is the Grammys 2022, where Beyonce became the biggest of winners ever. I don't even know who she is. But congratulations, Harry Styles got one of the most unanimated well-dones for winning something as well. Yeah, he even went so far as to say, guys like me don't usually win, which people thought was a bit rude. I thought it couldn't have been more accurate. The real winner though was Madonna, who stole the show with her performance on stage and all the edginess that she brings. She is considered a music legend and at the age of 64 is considered defiant, going so far as to hit out at those that criticised her via a rather lengthy Instagram post because of the ageism and the misogyny. This is Madonna hitting out, by the way. I thought I'd let it play for all of you to see, but I'm going to stop and go back here. The reason why is because, and I had to show this to a patron last night during a rather topical discussion, he made a point that I thought was quite accurate. I noticed the divot, the weird sort of bending in around the posterior to her legs. While defiant about age and always wanting to be contrarian and counterculture, this just looks like a G.I. Joe doll with a leg pulled off and re-popped back in. You can be defiant about your age, you can be defiant about aging gracefully, but what you're doing, Madonna, is making us realise just how old you are because you are not just fighting it, you are trying to change it. And it's funny to us because you're failing miserably. A lot of the criticisms were about how puffed up your face looked, because it came across either as somebody that doesn't chew their food, has had injections of vast amounts of fat taken out of their posterior, but since the posterior looks, it's, to look at it is, quite frankly, only comes across as a desperate attempt by somebody who refuses to accept they are getting older and they cannot get away with it for much longer. You fight it as much as you like, but you end up running the risk of looking like Pete Townsend. One of Madonna's main criticisms was that people focused less on what she said and more about her appearance, forgetting that people turn up at the Grammys dressed up looking like stupidity incarnate. So people are going to be drawn to those who stand out comparative to the stupidity. They always are. and they noticed Madonna because Madonna was very smart in the suit and tie ensemble with a face that looked like it was melting. It is not misogyny, nor is it ageism to highlight the fact that you aren't just fighting your age, you are trying to reverse it and are failing miserably. All the money in the world cannot change the inevitable fact of life having a beginning and an end. How you choose to get to the end is on you. If you are graceful about it, you run less of a risk of becoming an old meme.